Hi Flosstube, this is Veronica with Night Stitch, and I am doing a WIPGO recap and a WIPGO plans video. So for 2024, I participated in WIPGO for the very first time ever. I joined WIPGO in April of 2024, and I wasn't sure how. I joined in April because I wasn't sure how to start WIPGO if I hadn't done it in January, since it's like a monthly thing. But once I figured it out, I decided that I would try to catch up on all of the calls from January through March and give myself smaller goals, and then once I caught up, I would do higher, more difficult goals, because I didn't want my being behind already to affect my progress going forward. So that's what I did. I have a digital WIPGO board, but I also have a physical copy so that I could write stuff down. I did pretty well. I only failed one, and I'm going to go through in detail everything that I did, how I picked my projects, and what I'm going to do for next year's WIPGO, because I am doing it again because I had a lot of fun doing it, and I feel like it helped me work on projects that not that I wouldn't normally work on, but I have a lot of WIPs, and so it's hard to work on everything. It's hard to think about everything that I have, unless it's written down. Because I only think about a few projects, in my head, oh, I think about my Captain America stuff all the time. So, but I have other things, so I want to work on other things. So WIPGO really helped with that. So I'm going to go in order from 1 through 25 rather than the order of the numbers that she called, because I think that's just going to be easier for my chart as I read off my board. So the way that I picked my WIPs is I have a decision wheel, and I spun I think I put the names of the WIPs, and then I spun it that way. So then if it picked a name, if it picked Patrick Bateman, then I put that on there. Okay. So number 1 on the WIPGO board is Museum Shelf. And that is a Heaven and Earth design. It's designed by Amy Stewart, and it's one of her giant shelves. And I had a goal for that to put 100 stitches in it. So this is a project I started in 2018 for Stitch Mania, and this was my May 5th start. And this is 25 count Lugana. It's called Stormy Night. Sorry, I have wires everywhere. It's kind of tripping me up. This is giant fabric. I didn't want to have it knock my microphone over, because that would probably happen to me. So this is Stormy Night Lugana. It's printed. So it's blank on this side. And I am a full coverage stitcher who starts in the middle, mainly because I want the design to fit. It will, but it's huge. So I want it to be in the middle. Plus, the middle has all the fun stuff in it. Because a lot of times with Heaven and Earth designs, it's not because the design is boring, but at the top left corner, it's always one color for an entire page or something. So I didn't want to start up there and have that. So I started in the middle. I'm using 2 flosses over 1 square. And I have a thing that I do where I start in the middle and I try to go up to the top left. I didn't really think about that when I did this project because I only discovered that about myself, that it was a pattern that I do when I was stitching my Captain America holding a flag. But I have noticed that I do tend to start in the middle and then I try to work my way up so that I can go back down. So I called that roller coaster stitching because it's going up and down and all over the place. I just picked a color and I started going, and I stitch by reference too. So if there's a stitch that's already there, then I will try to pick the color next to it or near it and then work that color in as much as I can and then snip it off or park it depending on what I feel like doing. But I think I need to make my full coverages less chaotic because I think that when I do the thing where I feel like parking but then I don't feel like parking, then I get kind of these areas of the pattern where when I stop it's fine, but then when I go back to it I like don't know where to start stitching again because sometimes I'll have little waist knots that are in my way for the place that I want to start again, so then I feel like I can't start in that spot and then I'm just like wishy-washy and trying to figure out where to go. So I need to figure out how to do my full coverage pieces a little bit more structured, but still doing the roller coaster style that I like. I can't work in like regimented grids, so I can't like just park for the whole thing, and I can't just finish a page because my mind is too scattered for me to enjoy stitching that way, so I don't. But then I have other problems, so that is that. So I did manage to finish the goal for this, which was a March call. This was March and the number was number 1 because it's the number 1 project on the board. I think my problem with the full coverages that I explained is why I don't have more done on my full coverages. Number 2 was group therapy, and that was called in June. This is a dimensions kit, and it's one of their little ones. It's 5x7. And I'm doing it on Fiberlicious Veil of the Night fabric. It's 32 count Lugana. I don't really like Aida, so I don't stitch on it if I can avoid it. And this is what I have. I'm using the kit floss, so it's dimensions floss, and I started in the middle and I'm stitching my way up. So I have the word group and a alcohol glass done. And I backstitched around everything because I have to backstitch as I go or I will not work on the project for 500 years. So I know myself, and I know that I'm not somebody that's just going to be like, oh, that has backstitch and that's really pretty, I'm never going to buy it because it has backstitch. Like, I would rather sacrifice the pain of doing the backstitch because I like the piece and it's pretty. I'll just backstitch as I go and then it won't be a problem. I think I only hate it when the only thing left is backstitch because I don't feel like I'm stitching. which is weird, I know, but stitching X's seems way more satisfying than just stitching lines. So my goal for that was to finish one alcohol glass, and I did. Number 3 was Supervillain, and that was called in February. This is Wicked Night fabric. It's by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. This pattern is by Pyro Dog Pins. It's out of the Heroes and Villains X Stitch magazine by Mr. X Stitch. And I had started in the middle and I stitched my way up and I got the words done. And my goal for this was to put 100 more stitches in it. So I put in like the blue that you see. I like filled it in more. I think it was like this little block here was 100. So I managed to complete that. Number 4 was called in, where is it? September. And it was my CSI by Clouds Factory. And it's on Waiting for You, 28 count Opal Lugana is what I stitched it on. It's so sparkly. And my goal is to finish another character. So I only had 3 little people on here before, and so I finished Sarah. She was my 4th little character, and I got the goal done. Oh, I know when I started this. I started this on May 7th, 2018 for Stitch Mania. Okay, so actually number 5 was in May. Number 5 was called in May, and I don't actually have it anymore. I have a picture though. This was a gift for my friend, and it's her favorite swear words, and I just decided to stitch that for her, and it's on purple fabric. It's Huntress by Fiberlicious, and I used DMC variegated orange for the border thing that's on there because she likes the color orange, so I just did that as a funny little thing for her. My goal for that was to finish it, and I did, and then I sent it off to her. Okay, number 6 is Toothless and Light Fury, and that one was called in July. This is by Cross Stitch Knitta on Etsy. I'm doing this on Moonstone Jobelin by Color and Cotton. And I started in the middle and I went up to the top of the page. So it's not the top left-hand side, but it's the top of the page. This is how I would like my full coverage pieces to look when I stop stitching on them in between stitching sessions. So I'm still stitching kind of wherever I feel like it, but there aren't crazy threads hanging in my way. So if I can figure out how I did this and get my other full coverages to look like this, then I will work on them more. So for this one, my goal was to put 200 stitches in, so I worked towards the other part of the blue at the top. And I completed that goal. Number 7 is Secret Sleigh Society by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This was called in December, and my goal was to put 1,000 stitches in it. And I haven't done a December Flosstube update yet, so this is a sneak peek actually, because I have put in 1,000 stitches now, in addition to what I had before. And I bought this pattern in the 1st century BC when it came out, and I am still not done with it, even though it has 2 clues. So I'm happy though. Another 1,000 stitches in it gets me closer to it being done, and hopefully it won't take me another 5,000 years to finish. So this is Gingerbread by Picture This Plus. It's 28 count Lugana. Alright, and now we come to number 8, which was called in October, and this is the one that I failed. So you'll see that it's still not done. My goal was to finish it, and still not done. So I have this Old Navy cash on here because it's got names on it, so I'm trying to keep it private because it's a birth sampler. But what I'm not done with is backstitching the names. So I'm almost done with the date. So, sorry, I didn't mean to glare you in the face with the Old Navy cash. But that's what I have backstitched. And I'm almost done with it. And I have 3 numbers to go. And then it'll finally be done. What I should have done was when I stitched each character, each letter and number, I should have backstitched as I went. See, I learn, but I don't learn. So yeah, anyway. Moving along, the number, I can't count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where's number 9? Number 9 was Pocahontas. This is Mucha inspired Pocahontas. It says it's a kit, but it's not. It was a pattern on Etsy by Nenny Design, who's not there anymore. My goal for this was to do 100 stitches. This was called in January. I'm doing it on Maldivian Dreams by Fiberlicious. 32 count Lugana. I never remember to say what threads I'm using in 2 over whatever. Okay, so this is 2 over 2 on 32 count. I have 1 page finished, and the 100 stitches I put in were up here, this line, and then this little arch thing. So I completed that goal. And that's all DMC. I figure that I always just, if I don't say anything about the thread, then it's DMC, because I feel like I normally mention when it's not DMC, but I don't mention when it is DMC. So if I don't say anything, then you can just assume that it's DMC. Because I'm really good at telling you what the fabric is, but I'm really bad at telling you if it's 2 over 2 or whatever. So number 10 was called in March. Oh, sorry, I was showing you the pattern. I wasn't trying to do that, I promise. This is Portrait of Veronica. And this is a Mirabilia. Probably the second one that I got. I have Christmas in London too, and I don't remember which one I bought first, but that doesn't matter. It was just something to talk about. So my goal for this was to work on it for one day. And I am doing this on Monster Mash by Picture This Plus. It's 32 count Lugana. And this is what I have. So, not that much. Worked on it for one day and I went up. So the big section that's stitched there I already had, and I did the two little sections right here. I did all of that in one day. I was trying to get up to the top of her head, so I started stitching her skin a little bit, and then I managed to get like to her arm. But I want to get to the top of her head and then work down, doing my roller coaster stitching that I do. Okay, number 11 was called in September. This was a new start when I did it, because on my WIPGO I didn't just do whips, I did a few new starts as well. Because if I don't start something every few days, I get really irritated. So this is from the Everything Cross Stitch Stitch and Stuff box. And it's called Squeeze the Day. And it's a subscription box that you can get that's not like a recurring box. So it's more like a grab box. So they call it a Stitch and Stuff box. And it's themed. And then they give you a bunch of things. Some patterns, some fabric, some floss, and then some other cross-stitch tools. And then they give you a coupon. And then every so often, I think it's like quarterly, maybe every few months, they have a box, and then you can get an email from them if you sign up for their email, and then it's an email so that they can let you know when another box comes out, because they go kind of fast. So they let you know, and then you can see if you want it or not. So this is my first dish towel thing that I'm stitching. And I stitched white on white, which is invisible on here. But then I also stitched some yellow, so you can kind of see where I stitched. This is one of the projects that I think I stitched in hand because I kind of felt like I had to, because of it's a dish towel, and so it was hard to it's thicker, so then it's hard to get it in like a hoop or a Q-snap, so I just stitched in hand. So yeah, once I get like the back stitch around the white, then it'll actually show like the lemon rinds, which is cool. So my goal on it was to put 100 stitches in it, so I did that, so that goal is complete. Number 12 is Rosie the Riveter. This is by Mystic Stitch, and yeah. I'm doing it on linen this time. This is 36 count Edinburgh in Sea Flame color. And I got linen because I wanted the colors to be very obvious that it was red and blue. So I started in the middle and I worked my way up, and I'm not stitching the background. because the background is going to be this red and blue because it's patriotic. So what I did in the middle was yellow. So I just stitched a bunch of half stitches up so that I could actually be in the right spot. And that's the part of her fist. And my goal was to put 500 stitches in this, and I did it. So this goal is also complete. And I'm going to take out the yellow later when I have more of the other stitches around her hand to reference where like her shirt and stuff will go. So I've noticed too, another pattern with myself is that I don't generally like stitching the background on things. So I have gotten really good at like figuring out what symbols are the background and what symbols are the part I actually want to stitch. So that's kind of cool. This is a bag I got from TJ Maxx. Oh, Rosie the Riveter was called in August. So number 13. Number 13 on the bingo board can be a free space. I did not make it a free space, mainly because I forgot that you could do that until after the fact, and then I decided it's fine. So my number 13 is Patrick Bateman. And this is by Cat's Cross Stitchery on Etsy. And this is one of the first patterns that I bought because I like Christian Bale. So doing this on a piece of 25 count Lugana. I ordered it off 123 Stitch, and it's water sapphire. I can never remember if it says vintage water sapphire or if it's just water. It's just water sapphire, and it's by Zweigart because it has the orange line on it on the selvage edge. And here's another one where I have kind of craziness going on and I need to figure out how to get it to be neater before I stitch on it again. So I started in the middle, which was his nose, and then I went up and I got to the top of his head. So now I'm trying to work back down again. And he's not going to take up the whole fabric, so I have half of this that I can use for something else. But my goal was to get 1,000 stitches, and I did. I started him on May 1st, 2024, and I actually restarted him a bunch of times because I was trying to figure out what kind of fabric I liked stitching on. Because he was one of the first patterns I bought, and so I just went and got 18 count Aida. And I was stitching on it and I didn't really like the fabric, so I switched to 25 count white Lugana. And then I was watching a movie one day stitching on it and realized like the movie got really good, and so I started paying attention to the movie more, which meant I paid less attention to my stitching, which meant I messed up one, like I put a stitch in the wrong place and it threw off everything else that I did for the entire time I was watching the movie. So I was like, I don't want to frog this and redo it. I'll just redo it on a different fabric. So then I had also figured out that I don't really like stitching on white fabric, so I got this blue fabric because per my don't like stitching background thing, he has like a light blue background, so I thought I would get a blue fabric and then do that. So, and I've also learned if I'm going to watch something when I'm stitching, it has to be something that I don't pay that much attention to, but that I'm listening to in the background. Otherwise, it's gonna mess up all of my stuff again. But I'm glad I learned things about myself through mistakes that I make. Okay, number 14 is the world's postage stamp. This was called in November. Oh, Patrick Bateman was called in May. I don't know if I said that. So, the world's postage stamp by Soda Stitch. I'm going to do this whole thing just like it is on there. And this is on 28 count even weave. It's MCG Textiles fabric. And my goal for it was to work on it for 2 days. And so it's upside down. I did. So I finished the Sydney block, which I had been stitching since 1875, which is when my house was built. And I had like not finished it, and it was like 3/4 of the way done, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? So I finished the Sydney block, and then I was working on the Bali block, and my WIPGO goal got met before I finished the Bali block. So I decided to work on it for another day so I could finish it. So now I have the Bali block and the Sydney block done. And I think I'm going to backstitch the palm tree a little bit. Look at me adding backstitch. I never thought I would say that. But the palm tree has like a different color green than was charted, and I didn't realize it would blend in with the sky so much. So I think I'm going to backstitch the lighter colored leaves of the palm tree, and then they'll stand out more. And this fabric I dyed myself. I just had some like fabric dye, like it's not the RIT dye stuff because I wasn't that fancy back then. It's like this spray on like tie-dye stuff that you get on t-shirts. And so I ice dyed it. I put a bunch of ice and I wrinkled up the fabric, and then I poured the like tie-dye stuff on it, and then I let it drip on it, and that's how it looks. So I completed the goal for that one. That's a project bag from Hobby Lobby. It came in a set of 3 bags. Number 15 is Wine and Dessert. This is also by Soda Stitch, ironically. And it looks like this. And I'm doing it like this. And I just realized they have a model here of green, which is funny because my fabric is green, but I didn't pick it because of this. Happy coincidence. So my goal for this, so I pulled this in August. So this is number 15 for August. And August has 31 days in it. So I thought, what if I work on this project for 1 hour every day in August? I did it on Jadeite by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And so what I did was that I would work on it. That was the goal. But then sometimes I didn't work on it. So if I didn't work on it on Monday, but I did work on it on Sunday, then on Tuesday I would say I need 2 hours on it to make up for Monday. So I did that, and I did manage to get 31 hours put into it. And I got pretty far, which is awesome because before I only had the red wine bottle in the middle, and then the wine glass at the top, and then a little bit of the like napkin thing on the right. Oh, and the checkerboard under the wine, but that was it. So I added all of the other stuff, like all the details on the cutting board, like the olives and the bread and the knife. Added all of that. I added the border at the top. I added the wine banner, and I added the little caviar and the little shrimp. And I backstitched everything that I needed to. So that was cool. And it's only going to take up half the fabric, so I have this other half for something else. This one is going to be number 16. Number 16 was called in November, and this is Gryffindor Crest by Little Mojo. It's a free pattern, and it's called Epic Gryffindor Crest. And fabric. I'm doing this on Storm Chaser by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And this is 2/2. And I got all the black over here is what I worked in for the 2 days. And I did the thing where I start in the middle and I go up and then I go back down. I really like how the colors look on this fabric. It's very bright, so it stands out. I like it. My goal is to work on that for 2 days, and I did that, so that was completed. Okay, my next one is number 17, which was Visit London. And my goal is to work on it for 5 days. This is one of my fancy project bags. I bought it from Pop-Up Stitcher on Etsy. It's kind of light, but it's... So, this is a kit from WIPGO, and it's sideways. It's 2 cute people kissing in a phone booth in London. I'm not using the kit fabric because it came within like a brown kind of Ada, and I'm doing it on Rose Taupe by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. And for this one, I started in the top left because this is not going to take up the whole fabric. So I wanted to make sure that the half of the fabric was still going to be usable, so I started in the left so that I could just use half of it. And I worked on this for 5 days, so I completed the goal. And yeah, it's cool. This uses DMC floss in the kit. Number 18 was Egyptian Queen. This is by Heaven and Earth Designs. When I got it, it was free, but it's not free anymore. This is a crop of a bigger piece, which is still available. It's called Queen of the Leopards by Jan Patrick Krasny. And it's her sitting in her throne with her, she's like lounging on a chair with her leopards around her. My goal was to work on it for 5 days. This is another one where I have had crazy stuff on it, and I need to get it to a place where it can be a little neater. This is Vintage Country Mocha by Zweigart, and I got it off 123 Stitch. It's 25 count Lugana, and I'm doing it 2/1, full cross. I do all of my full coverages that way. And so I start in the middle, which was her face, and then I got like her eyes done, and then I worked up into her crown. But there was a lot of parking and a lot of like waist threads, and it was driving me a little crazy with all the waist threads and stuff, so I went down and worked on her chin because there were a little bit less colors in that, so then I could figure out what I wanted to do with the top before I continue. But this is another one where I'm gonna have to figure out how to clean this up so that it doesn't make me, it's almost like I just kind of get like, I don't know where to go on this. So I don't want to do that anymore because I like these things and I want to work on them. So I did that. I completed the 5 days on her, and she was called in April. My next one is number 19. It is Taste of Europe, and it was called in May. This is a bag I got from Walmart. I'm doing this on Glowing Dreams by Fiberlicious. It's 32 count Lugana. This is a free pattern from DMC that I rearranged the little icons. So my goal was to finish one icon on it. So I have Paris and Vatican City completed. And I added Taste of Europe in the middle because their pattern doesn't have words on it. And I counted that as my icon, the Taste of Europe part. And so I completed the goal. But because I put words on it, I had to rearrange the other icons. So mine will look a little different. I should really work on this so that it gets more exciting. I think it's really cute too. This guy down here, there's a tiny man. He's sailing a gondolier. He's so tiny. Or sailing a gondolier. He is the gondolier sailing a gondola. But he's cute. Even though I called him the wrong thing. Or I called his boat the wrong thing. Whoops. Okay, this next one's also a sneak peek because this is December's WIPGO. This is number 20. This is Queen of Cross Stitch. Did I put the... Of course I don't have what I need. Why would I do that? At least it's within arm's reach. This is... Well, it's free, so whatever. But it's this little crown here, and it just says Queen of Cross Stitch. I decided to do this in mostly beads, and my goal is to finish it. Which I did. I was doing an experiment to see if I liked beading, and I thought maybe if I do a project that's mostly beads, I can figure out if I like it or not. So I'm doing this on 28 count Opal Lugana. Midnight Splendor is the name. And it's really small, so I just did it up here. And I did it. It's done. I decided to write Khaleesi of X Stitch instead of Queen. And I'm trying to get the, you can see the metallic floss there. I wanted it to be shiny, but I think because it's on opalescent, it's already shiny, so I may have gone overboard on the shiny, but it's fine because this is just for me anyway, and it doesn't matter. And I like it, so there it is. But I got the goal complete to finish it. Of course, I would leave this out of my Taste of Europe. All right, number 21 was Punched Today in the Face, and it was called in April. My hair is staticking to my neck. My goal was to work on this for 5 days, and I'm doing it on Neverland by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And this is the pattern. It's out of the Mr. X Stitch magazine, Heroes and Villains edition, and I changed all the colors except for the black. I changed mine to red, white, and blue. And my goal was to work on it for 5 days, and I did. Is that right? Yeah. So I basically added more of the paint splotches on the right hand side because I had kind of gotten up to the left already, so I was moving across. Okay, so the next one is number 22, which is Stitcher Saying by Doreen Jones, and that's what it looks like. This was in the World of Cross Stitching magazine. There's no issue number on it, but Doreen Jones does have this on her website on Etsy. So my goal for this was to put 100 stitches in it, and I did. This is done on Dreaming Blossoms by Fiberlicious. It's 28 count Opal Lugana. And this is way more than what I was doing for WIPGO. So 100 stitches was, I think, the R. Getting the R started in Rainbow. But I've since finished the word Rainbow and backstitched all of it. And now I can start working on some of the little cross-stitch symbols on it, so that'll be fun. Okay, that was called in January. This next one is number 23, and it was called in July, and this is Legendary Creatures Alphabet Stitch Along by Clouds Factory, which I also bought in 1692 because it's still not done. My goal was to finish 2 creatures. So as of WIPGO in July, I only had A through E, F through I, L, M, N done. I had half of the K done, and I hadn't worked on it for 5,000 years. So I finished the Kraken, and I finished the Jackalope. I started and finished the Jackalope, and then that was WIPGO. So I worked on it after WIPGO, and that's why there's an Ouroboros down there. So I think this is really cute, and I don't know why. No, I do know why I don't work on this, because I have 9,000 other projects. That's why. So yeah. Yeah. This is Ship's Manor Abracadabra fabric, and it's 32 count Lugana. And I think this may be the only piece of fabric that I have that is the called for fabric for any of my projects. This pattern uses some Weeks Dye Works floss too. So my goal was to finish 2 creatures, which I did, so I completed that one as well. Where am I? 24. Yes. 24 was by Circus Stitches on Etsy. It's called Super Secret Boy Band, and it's the Iron Man quote when he says, no, I don't want to join your super secret boy band. So this is done on 28 count Opal Lugana. It's chocolate. And my goal for this was to put 100 stitches in it. I'm stitching this for my friend, and I have been stitching it since forever, and I should finish it because I'm almost done. I have like half of the 3rd line done, and then there's a 4th line, and that's all. And yeah. Silly me. So it looks really good on this though. I like the light blue. It does look like it's glowing, like Iron Man's chest. So I got that completed, 100 stitches in that. And last, number 25, was called in June. It is called Fa La La Wine by Peacock and Fig, and my goal was to finish it, and I did. This is another one I started like 5,000 years ago, put it away for another 5,000 years, and then when I pulled it out, it only took me 2 days to finish it. So I was like, why do we... Frosty Mint, Fiberlicious, 32 count Lugana. Like, why do I do this to myself? Like, I could finish things if I would just work on them, but you know, whatever. So this... I have many projects on here. This is the Fa La La wine, and it's very cute and simple, and I thought I would turn it into a calendar page, and I finished it. So yay. This is DMC 2/2 and backstitch. Okay, well, that's what I did in WIPGO for 2024, and I had a lot of fun. So much fun that I'm going to do WIPGO 2025. I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I did this year, mainly because I did it last year. So, for 2025, I am going to pull 25 different projects again. But because I did this last year, well, it's still 2024, but you know what I mean. Because I did this the previous year already, I will leave out these 25 projects and they will not be eligible for my 2025 WIPGO board. That way I can work on different projects, a different 25 projects. And I think for my goals for them, I will write down some prompts, and then if you watched my plans video that I put up, whenever I put that up, I'm filming this on the same day that I filmed the plans video, and my plan is to put the plans video up before this one, so you will have seen this, me explain this bucket thing in that video. So I'm gonna write down some prompts like 100 stitches, 1,000 stitches, 5 days, whatever. And I'm going to put them in on pieces of paper and rip them up and put them in here. And then when Jessie Marie calls the WIPGO number, I will go in the bucket and pick a prompt. So it'll assign a random prompt to whatever number that she calls. And so that way my goals will just kind of be up in the air and I will not really know what's going on with them. I'm gonna put like achievable goals because I think I do like getting things done. So I'm not gonna be like, get 50% of museum shelf done or something insane that I cannot finish in a month. But I will put in harder ones. Like for the ones that I did here, I did like stitch on it for 1 day. It's pretty easy, and it's because I wanted to get caught up on WIPGO. But this year, since I'm starting WIPGO in the beginning of the year, when it actually starts, I thought, okay, my goals can be a little more difficult, and that'll be fine. So that's what I'm going to do with the, that's how I'm going to figure out what goals for my WIPGO. And for what projects I put on the board, I'm going to do what I did last year because I really liked that. So in my computer, I have all of my WIPs listed and I have them all numbered. So I'm going to take out the ones that are on the WIPGO board for 2024, so they're not eligible. Then I'm going to put all the ones that are eligible, I will number them appropriately, and then I'll spin my decision wheel, and that'll tell me which whip goes in which block. So I'm going to do that. And I think I might do number 13 again and put a whip in there because it seemed to work fine for me last year, or in 2024. So hopefully, I don't know. If it kicks me in the butt, oh well, it kicks me in the butt. Whatever. Okay. I think that's all I have to say about WIPGO. If you want to know more about it, you can go to Jessie Marie's YouTube, and she's got like a tutorial for how to play WIPGO. It's been around for a couple of years, so I'm pretty sure most of you at least have heard of it and kind of know the general concept. But if you don't, then her video on her channel explains it quite well. So I'll just direct you over there. So I think that's all. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, commenting, and watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.